1994 was a very memorable year, different events. During the Winter Olympics, Tanya Harding put out a hit on Nancy Kerrigan's knee. Uh, the Republicans took control of Congress for the first time in 40 years. Whitewater, the scandal burst upon the scene. Kurt Cobain died. Nixon died. Michael Jordan was playing baseball. And in the entertainment world, that was the year of some really big movies. You know what I'm saying? Just remember that was the year you saw so many hit films just dominate the box office. Lion King, which I think actually premiered in '93, carried over to '94. Um, Jurassic Park, which was the all-time grossing movie back then, was still hitting theaters in '94. Forrest Gump, which wasn't projected to be this huge hit that it became, but it, you know, was one of the longest standing number one movies of all time that premiered that year. But it also was the year that Jim Carrey finally broke through to Hollywood stardom. When you look back at it, Jim Carrey had been in stand up ever since he was, I think, before he was even 20 years old. And some of us remember him in movies, even if we weren't really following things back then because we were too damn young. Remember him in movies from the 80s. What was it? Once Bitten or Earth Girls Are Easy. But these were flop movies. And, but most of us remember him from his stint on Living Color, us. You know what I'm saying? Those who were fans of that show. But he seemed to just come out of nowhere to the mainstream audience with the movies that premiered that year. Dumb and Dumber, huge hit. The Mask, even bigger hit. And then, of course, there was Ace Ventura. Ace Ventura, is such an iconic film. And I think it was the first of his films to debut, and it was a smash hit. Now, the reason why I'm bringing all this up is because of the fact that the production company behind the Ace Ventura movie and its sequel, 1995's Ace Ventura When Nature Calls, Morgan Creek Entertainment announced that they have writers now attached to an Ace Ventura 3, and they are now going through the process of coming out with a third installment. Now, this is what is not known at this time. Now, there are rumors that uh, it might premiere on Amazon Prime. We'll have to wait and see. This is still a ways off, okay? You're in the process where they're just writing a script, filming. If it gets to that, if it gets approved, we might be talking 2022, okay? Let's be realistic. But this is the thing. We don't know whether or not this is actually going to feature Jim Carrey. This might be a reboot where they're going to have another actor recast in that role, which I think is going to be a fundamental mistake if they do that. Okay, I think that's a mistake if they do that. Some movies are so synonymous with that actor that it's a mistake to recast the role in a lot of ways. Ace Ventura, you only can see Jim Carrey doing it. It's sort of like the same thing with Steve Martin when he was, playing Inspector Clouseau. Not knocking his chops, man, but that is Peter Sellers' role. Okay, you want to see Peter Sellers do that. Okay, um, this is my thing. If it's anything other than Jim Carrey being in a movie, don't do it. If it is Jim Carrey doing this movie, it has to be rated R. Okay. Now Eddie Murphy could get away with doing Coming to America 2 in the genre that he did PG-13 because Eddie Murphy has become accustomed to doing family friendly movies ever since Nutty Professor. Okay, with few exceptions, he's pretty much done family friendly type movies. Okay, and there are also certain political realities. Um, Certain jokes that you could make back in 1988, you really can't make those same jokes today, especially when you're limited to PG-13. When you think about it, the rating system has changed. A lot of those movies that were rated PG-13 back in the 80s, today would be rated R. Why? Because our society has become pussified. I'm sorry. I mean, it's just, for lack of a better word, what I think they should do is this. If you're going to have Jim Carrey reprise his role, he's going to have to be a little bit different. Okay. Now, the Jim Carrey character, the Ace Ventura character back then, was around 30 years old, and he acted like a 30-year-old man. Jim Carrey today is, as hard as this is to believe, he's nearing 60 years old. Um, Seeing a 60-year-old man talk out of his butt is it just doesn't make a lot of sense. He still should be funny, but he should be more mature. He could still be sarcastic and witty and condescending, but just a little different. You know what I'm saying? In his humor and how he conducts himself, a little bit more mature. Sort of like how I guess Jerry Lewis humor changed as he got older. You know, if that makes any sense. Um, Also, make this an R-rated movie. Okay. When we watch Jim Carrey, we want to that role in particular. Think about the jokes that he was making in that movie. One thing that he couldn't get away with today would be the gay jokes and the anti-transgender jokes in that first movie. He couldn't do that today. Not saying you got to do something similar, but I mean, when you're rated R, you are able to push the boundaries more. And I'm just the type of person, maybe it's just me, it's just my particular taste. I don't like too much censorship. You know what I'm saying? I like to see boundaries pushed in comedy. I like seeing originality. I like seeing, edge. So it is what it is. If they do make a sequel, I just hope it doesn't suck. You know what I'm saying? Because so many sequels suck. Now, one thing I do know about Jim Carrey, I remember reading interviews where he talked about this. He does not usually like doing sequels. I remember in the past he said he doesn't really find sequels appealing because he says it's not really that challenging. Once you do a role one time and you reprise it, it's not really the same. Now he did do a sequel to Dumb and Dumber, obviously with him and Jeff Daniels playing Lloyd and damn, I forgot the other guy's name, Harry. But it wasn't quite the same, you know. I don't know, but we'll see. You know what I'm saying? Another thing that can happen is when you go so long after making a movie, it's like the magic is just gone. It's not there anymore. So I don't know. Um, I just hope if he does do a movie, it's not the same. I don't want to see a rehash. I don't want to see Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, which is pretty much a remake of everything that was Home Alone, except for it's just set in New York. Make it be a different movie. I don't know. It can be different. You know what I'm saying? Um, but tell me what you guys think, man. I know most of you probably say, "Nah, leave well enough alone." But tell me what you guys